Just a follow-on question to those voter ID and registration laws. This seems to be a solution to a problem. But did we ever have a problem? Was there ever any data that said we have voter fraud issue?
The evidence is very scant. There was a very highly publicized study in Florida a few years ago that ran a list of convicted felons against the voter rolls of an election and identified, I think, several thousand people who had voted in that election who were convicted felons. But it turned out that when you actually looked at it, that there were many people who had the same names as convicted felons who were casting ballots, and in a number of other instances there were just mistakes in terms of the study that purported to show widespread voter fraud.
There was one major case of voter fraud in Virginia in 2008. It didn't get a lot of attention. It was actually conducted by the Republicans, surprisingly enough. There was the registrar in Harrisonburg took in, received something like 100 voter registration applications the day before Election Day from the Obama campaign for students at James Madison. And they somehow disappeared from her office on that day of the deadline, day before deadline, showed up in Richmond, mailed by, or maybe her son's fingerprints run up, but the Republican son's registrar, the son of the Republican registrar, took the forms to Richmond, was caught by the police taking them down there, and had mailed them back in 2 days after the deadline so that they were not eligible to vote. That's the only case of voter fraud that I've seen in Virginia in the last 10 years, and it was essentially conducted by the Republican Party in Harrisonburg. So there's very scant evidence that this ever happens, other than a few isolated cases. I don't know of any case where the Democratic Party in Virginia has been accused of having a single case of voter fraud anywhere in the state that I can remember in the last 15 years.